Good morning, everyone. This is Jay with dailytexture.com. This morning I am working with a really old photo back from 2019. This is a bobcat that I took in captivity up at Land Between the Lakes in between Kentucky and Tennessee. And I like the pose sitting on the rock, and because I have a background collection called On the Rocks, I thought it might be nice to put him in there. However, he's kind of tall, and the On the Rocks one I pulled out is this one, and if I put him in there at the size he is, his head is going to be way up here. I could make him smaller, but I thought I'd get a little more challenging and kind of go with what I showed in the video yesterday of blending different backgrounds together to create an entire new work of art. So I've opened up a couple other backgrounds. This one is the Immersed in Light, number 14, and I'm going to use this as my base. And then this one is from the Savannah collection 2, and it's number 8. And I'm going to use this in the far background. At least this is the plan. And then here's the rocks from On the Rocks. I can't remember which number this is. And here's my bobcat. So I think to get started, I'm going to go ahead and mask out the background behind my bobcat and get him, oops, I got to get on the right layer. See, I'm on the wrong layer. Get on the right layer, then mask out the background behind the bobcat and get him positioned on the rock where I want him. I'm trying to keep his little tail in there. I may lose it, but that's okay. Let's get down here and make a smaller brush. Get in a little closer. And I'm masking at full opacity right now. I'm going to try to position him on the rock properly. Trying to keep his little tail. Now let me get a smaller brush and go in as close as I can. I love sitting here and working on these in the morning. After I've had a little coffee, just gets my day started right to work on some art. And I love digging back in my old photos and finding things I forgot I had. Because, you know, you get all excited and you take thousands of photos, especially when it concerns wildlife. And you might not have had time to go through them all. At least that's what I find. Okay, I've got him masked out pretty good. So I'm going to move him to the top of the rock. Now you notice how big he is. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scoot this rock down. Get on that layer. Scoot it down. And then I'm going to scoot him down. Now he may still be a little big for the rock, so I might resize him a little bit. And I got to position him correctly. Might need to go a little smaller to fit on that rock. But then his tail is kind of sticking off that edge there. How about we put him up here? Or we could put him back here where his front feet are on the rock, and we could rotate. But then he's really crooked. So let's undo that. Instead, how about we rotate the rock? Because I'm going to mask away a lot of this. Rotate. Let's get the rock in better position. Where he will, there, where he fits on it. But now look at my nice crooked background. But that's okay, because that's going to be masked away into the base background. He could straighten up just a little bit more. There. Now let me adjust the rock a little bit more. And I'm way off on the rock from where it originally was. Let me resize it up some. There. Now he's positioned pretty good, but my background is all off kilter, but that's okay, because we're going to mask some of that away. I see a little white speck off to the side here on his layer that I didn't get masked. Somewhere in here. Okay. Now let's go to the, oops, I moved it. There we go. Now let's go get on the rock background, and we're going to mask away that to blend that in with the base. So obviously I want this hard line to disappear right here. I'm just tapping in this corner to disappear, and this hard line to disappear. Okay, now I'm going to go with a big brush, a little bit lower opacity on the masking brush. And just kind of gently go around these edges and corners and blend that in with the base background. I'm just tapping around there. Let's get some more of this out, because I'm going to put that other background there. So basically I'm just trying to use the rock here, and I may go bring some of this back a little, but I don't want this edge right here. I may bring some of this back just a little to brighten that. So that's a lot of back and forth here. Now I'm going to turn on this background, and I'm going to invert the whole thing on that one. And did I do that on the wrong one? I did. Get on the right layer, invert, which puts a mask over the whole thing. And I'm going to try to bring in some of this background. I'm going to keep it at a low opacity and just kind of tap in here and bring in some of those cool clouds. And I might scoot this way back over here. And there's another rock in that background. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I got this line showing down here at the bottom. We want to get rid of that. That's just something this software does. Okay, I've got it gently brought in. Now I'm going to go back, see how the grass from the rock background meets this. I'm going to try to eliminate some of that. So I'm going back to the rock background and just gently tap right in there. And then go back to this background. Are you confused yet? And gently bring in some of this so it looks like it's a part of it. Alright, that looks pretty interesting at this point. I'm not sure about this lighting over here. I may bring some of this savanna background in over here, but I got to get rid of it from the rock area. There we go. I'm tapping around him, but I'm not on his layer. I'm on the rock layer, just fading out some of those rocks. Now that's kind of interesting right there. Now I'm going back to his layer, and I'm going to enlarge him just a little bit so I can work on him. And I'm going to go around the edges of his fur with a low opacity masking brush and just kind of tap, which will help bring the background in with the bobcat so it doesn't look pasted on. Maybe even a little bit bigger brush and tap around the edges of that fur to fade it in. Now I've got him sitting on the rock pretty good, but you know what he needs on the rock? He needs a shadow. So I'm going to go to the rock background and I'm going to get a burn brush. And underneath where he's sitting, I'm going to darken. I'm going to try to darken that rock just a little bit to give him a shadow there. And where his tail is too. Just all on that back side. Maybe even right here because that's a little strong light. And then I can get a little closer, darken a little bit more, and this is very subtle. Bring the strength in. There we go. Now it looks like he's actually sitting there. So let me zoom back out and take a look at everything as a whole. I still see on the edge of his fur here, it looks like it may be pasted. So I'm going to enlarge that so I can look at this edge. And with the low opacity masking brush, I'm just going to gently tap right there where it looks like the line is a little bit harsh. And check him out all around. I like my subjects to softly blend in with the backgrounds so they don't look pasted on. Now one thing I'm noticing at this point is his color is a little bit cool compared to the backgrounds. So I can go to my color adjustment and I can actually warm him up just a little bit. There we go. Now he matches a little better. And another way I like to tie everything together is to duplicate the base layer background, which is a plain texture, put it on top, put it in a different layer mode such as soft light, which is one of my favorites, and then adjust opacity. And look what that does to the lighting. It brings the lighting into him a little bit better, but it's taking away the brightness of the sky. I do like what it's doing around here. on those corners, but I don't like how it's taking away this brightness back here. So what I'm going to do is just put that on soft light at a middle opacity. I'm going to reduce the saturation of that layer because it's messing with his colors. Look at when I do saturation, what it does. So I'm going to pull that all the way down and just use as if it's black and white. Now, up here where it darkened a little bit much, I'm going to mask on that layer and mask it away. Let's go with full opacity, big brush, and just mask away this top area where it got a little bit dark on that. And then I can turn it off and on. I think it's a little dark right here, but I do like what it's done right here. And then I can darken this a little more to see if I want that darker or lighter. I actually like it darker, but I'm still going to mask away just a little bit more of it here. So basically I'm only using this top layer down in here. But now I've created a full scene with this guy. And I have to decide. I can turn the layers off and on. When I do this, I see I've got a line here from this bottom layer. So we're going to mask that line away on that layer. And when I turn this on and off, okay, I'm missing this little spot right here. When you turn your layers on and off, you can see your masking mistakes. There we go. So let's turn this back on, off, on. I might want to bring, what do I have over that? On this mask here. Let me tap right here. Okay, there. I just needed to bring back a little bit of strength on that area. And then I can go back and take some of it back away if I want. Looks pretty good. It looks like he's got a little fog going on here. I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from. It's coming from the back, from the base layer. So I may bring back a little bit of the Savannah layer to tone down some of that. I don't know if that's toning it down or making it brighter. That's all right. But I do need to get this little edging out right here. I'll bring some of that back. There. Now, I'm happy with that. So the rocks layer, there's a little halo coming from the sky in the rocks layer around him. So I'm going to try to mask that away and tone that down. And I'm just tapping. And I can tap right over him because I'm not on him. I'm underneath him. Just trying to tone down that little halo. There's still a little halo. You see it? Where's that coming from? That's coming from the main background. So let me get on the Savannah layer and bring back some of that right in here. This is actually underneath him, but it's creating a little halo. All right, let's put him back. There we go. Now the halo is gone. Now I'm happy with it. So I'm going to merge everything and then decide if I want to do any more adjustments color-wise or anything else. So let me duplicate that. Now I could up the saturation on everything, which makes everything too yellow, so I don't like that. I could up the exposure on everything, which will brighten everything, which is okay. I don't know that I need that. Might be kind of nice, though, to put in a little bit additional light on him. Oh, I don't know. I like him as he is. Alright, I can up the contrast. And this is doing it on the image as a whole. And contrast isn't really... Oh, I guess I have it turned off. Now let's try it. See what happens when I play with contrast? But if I wanted to make it a little more intense, I could up the contrast just a little. But I like it the way it is. I could decrease the shadows a little and darken the dark areas or lighten everything up. Could do a lot of different things at this point. Or I could take him into a painting program like Topaz Impression or one of my other painting programs I use and play with him that way. Or I could put another texture on top to change the look. I've used the Immersed in Light collection here. Let's see if there's another one from that collection that might be interesting. This one's got some pretty interesting light coming in from that side. So let's try. Ooh, that's a little yellow and bright. I like to just scan through the layer modes. I don't like what it's done on the color, so let's desaturate it. But let's see what it's done on the lighting now that it's desaturated. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's a little strong, though. Maybe about 40%. It's just very slight. I like that. So I'm going to save that. So this is another example of how you can blend different backgrounds together to create a whole new look, just rather than putting your subject in one background and calling it done. Of course, you can do that too. But I like challenges and I like to mix things together and create a whole different look. So that's why I grab several backgrounds and do this. Now, let's see if I turn everything off except the Bobcat. Turn the Bobcat off. This. You could actually save this now as a background for you to use with another subject in the future. And that's something I forget about when I'm doing it, and I just always redo stuff. But in this case, I really like the way this looks with the combination of these two backgrounds blended with that base Immersed in Light texture. And I've left this top layer on with the lighting from that other Immersed in Light texture. So I'm going to merge these as well. Okay. So there's, where did that go? Oh, here it is. There's the Bobcat one I've done. And then here is just the merged background layer that I've done. So now I can save the merged background as its own file. And I can also now save the Bobcat on there as his own file. But I have this background now if I want to put something else here in the future, and I don't have to redo all this work. So experiment with merging different backgrounds together with a base, such as the Immersed in Light collection, the Illumination collection. There's 2 of those collections. They also work well for a base layer. I have several that work well for a base layer to merge these scenic backgrounds into to create a whole scene. And I'm going to save both of these and see, in case I want to put something else there in the future. So that's just a little tip. It's something I forget about a lot, but today I've remembered it, so I am going to save it. And I hope you have enjoyed watching me put together this guy into a work of art and give him a new environment to play in. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.